better than ever. And I know right now that I'm going somewhere and I need some cheddar. Oh, baby, better.
Everyone, it's Andre Luck here to share my next episode of the Sports Sales Show, where I'm going to talk about how actually having more meetings could speed up your deal cycle. So, this is something that's come up in multiple training sessions I've done recently, where traditionally in sports, we try and get the deal done as quick as possible. We have one meeting, we don't let them leave the ballpark or the stadium or the arena because then they might change their mind and we try and close the deal. But in B2B sales, the more people you bring in and the more meetings you have in a quick time frame actually speeds up the deal cycle. Whereas if you let things lag and you maybe don't get the decision or you push too early, you're never going to get the deal closed. So that's come up a few times, and there's like a rigidity sometimes to like our sales process in sports. So I'm going to talk through in B2B sales, like what's the difference between that and B2C sales, and then what my ideal process would look like when working on a larger B2B sale. So I guess giving some context and going back to like the B2C sales process. So a lot of us came up through that. We kind of cut our teeth on that of learning, how to talk to people about tickets and how to pitch and get yeses and nos. And as you move up throughout your career, you start to work on bigger deals and start to work with more businesses and higher level clientele and things like that. But in the B2C sales process, you have a quick phone call. You try and get them to the ballpark or the stadium or the arena as quickly as possible if you're not trying to close them over the phone. And the biggest thing is you don't want them to leave because time kills sales. They change their mind. They're at their highest level of excitement. That's what we were all taught. And so we want to get them there. And like if they have to talk to other people, we try and encourage them to call them right now and see what they would say. And it's just funny looking back now as a 22, 23-year-old, it seemed to make sense to me. But now, 40 years old, married with kids, like if I tried to buy something and like the salesperson's like, oh, just call your wife and see what you think, or like, just do it and let's see, like what objection would she have? Like, I need to go home and talk to my wife, or we need to have a conversation if she's not already in the loop on this. So, a lot of the things that we were taught and some of the gimmicks I would call them, like those don't work in the B2C world and they definitely don't work B2B. But a lot of times reps don't think about, all right, this is a B2B conversation and they don't know how businesses work. And I didn't either. So we take those same practices and things that maybe help us close some deals on the B2C side and we bring that to B2B. And that's where a lot of our deals go for loss because we don't bring in the right decision makers. We don't assess and understand outside of like a ticket need, like how are we going to help impact their business and like how is this going to align with their business goals and objectives. So it's not that you have to slow down the process, but you got to take the time. And unless like a business like, hey, my boss said I need to buy this today, they're not sitting at their email just waiting for this email to come in with your proposal and with your seats and everything like that. Like they are running a business. Like they have 15 other objectives and priorities that they're focused on. So like it's okay for you to digest and kind of take things in and get back to them a couple of days later and come with like a well thought out proposal that seems customized and personalized to them. So a lot of times we take that B2C like urgency, close the sale as possible and think that's going to work B2B. We definitely need to be persistent. We can't sit back and like, let them make decisions for us. We have to be the quarterback. We have to be the project manager who's like moving deals forward and moving to next steps. And, hey, here's what the next deal in the or next step in the process is going to be. But at the same time, we got to make sure that we're doing it right. We're bringing in the right people. We're understanding like their decision-making process and the landscape and everything like that. So that's one thing that I really stress. And for younger sales reps and those that maybe haven't done a lot of B2B sales, you could just see the looks on their face like, why would I do that? Like, why would I have another meeting if why can't I just pitch them right there on the phone? Like I got them or like, I got them on the meeting. Like I usually just pitch tickets. And the thing is like, it works sometimes. And I tell a lot of people, I'm like, hey, what I'm saying isn't necessarily that what you're doing is wrong. If you want to have a better likelihood of winning bigger deals more consistently, here's a process you could follow. You're going to close some deals like that. You're going to luck into some people or come across some people where it just makes sense. And yes, they're going to buy. But what's the best process over hundreds of meetings versus single digit or tens of meetings? So the big differences from a B2B versus a B2C perspective. B2B, they're not worried about coming down to the arena or the ballpark or being wowed by those things. I always tell people like if I were an executive, I'm not driving through traffic to go downtown to some arena or stadium or ballpark to get pitched unless I'm interested. So if you're reaching out to me, you need to make it easy for me. And that's one thing we really focus on now with sports sales reps is like, what's the buying experience like? like you establish a lot of credibility, and they're like gauging you and assessing you from like the first phone call to the first meeting and like your follow-up process and everything like that. Like they're assessing you the whole time, like critiquing, is this person credible? Can I trust them? Are they actually gonna take my business as serious as I do? Do I think they could help me achieve the goals and outcomes that I'm looking to achieve? So all that plays into this. So we really got to think through, how do we make this the best, easiest, seamless experience for the customer, not what is going to help me hit my KPIs so my boss stays off my back, or what's going to make the most sense for me or easiest for me. So, I'd say like we've been taught, all right, first meeting B2B, go out of office. Second meeting, get them to the ballpark. Third meeting, if there is one, like virtual or phone call. I said, I don't care where you meet. Think about where you're at in the deal process. Because you might meet someone at a chamber event, you might meet someone at a golf tournament, you might meet them at a baseball or basketball game. Like there's all different scenarios. You can't be like, oh wait, like we're at the second meeting, like I can't talk to you today. Like I have to do a virtual meeting because that's our process. Like that's just not how it works. We have to be flexible, we have to be adaptable, and really think about where are we at in the process? What do we know? Have we involved all stakeholders? And so say if you're meeting someone for the first time at a game, I would just keep it real light, keep it real brief. Hey, enjoy the game today. Like, here's a couple things going on with our team, or like some ways that we're working with business people. But like, let's set up a meeting tomorrow or the next day, like virtually, where we could do a more formal discovery. There's too much going on when you're trying to have a meeting like during a game for the first time. They may have brought their kids with them and they want a hot dog or popcorn or get a soda, or they show up late because traffic took longer than they expected it to. And so now you're trying to cram it in, but like the national anthem starting now and like all the stuff that's going on and the lights and the music and the sounds, you don't have their attention. Like even when a virtual meeting, and I've been in meetings where I'm literally face to face with someone and they're on their phone. So like you really are want to try to get that undivided attention so you could talk through and really understand what are their top priorities right now. How can we help get them to where they're looking to go and fill that gap for them and create a program that's tailored and customized towards them. So we need to make it easy for them, and we really got to think through like how do businesses make decisions and buy. So a couple things to think about that I've learned is just working more with businesses and like getting to see behind the scenes with different executives. A small business, yeah, like the top person can probably make a decision, but there's always going to bring in someone else who's either going to be like the end user of the tickets or just opine on like, hey, are we actually going to get a return on this? Just someone to assess with. There used to be like one decision maker. That's not really the case anymore. There's multiple people. When you start to get to that like mid-size, large business, like there's multiple people involved. There's the people that are going to be using your ticket. So if it's like a sales team, it could be like the VP of sales, like director of sales, and like maybe like their sales reps who are going to use the tickets to bring prospects to games. Like that's one separate team. And then you have like the executives, like the VP of sales or the CRO and the CFO, who's assessing like what's the ROI we're going to get on that. So you want those people involved. Sometimes marketing is involved in helping setting up some of these activations. So you want to bring in the marketing people. And so if I'm dealing with a larger company, and there's all of these decision makers potentially that could be involved, anywhere from like 5 to 10 that I just listed there. And in the first meeting, I ask a couple questions and I just pitch what I pitch everyone else. I have to hope that lands. They took enough from my meeting in this 15, 20 minutes and like the basic proposal I sent over, get everyone else involved and like, hey, here's what we're doing. Here's how it's going to help achieve business outcomes. Like I haven't set them up for success. So that's why it's like, not to say that if you don't come across someone, not to try and close them on the first call, but 99.9% of the time, that's not how businesses are going to buy. So the first meeting, wherever that's at, in person, virtually, at lunch, whatever it may be, that's discovery for me. I just want to understand like, all right, who am I talking to? Are they the right person to speak with in the organization? Who else gets involved in these decisions? What are their priorities for like their area of the business? If they're like a director, even a VP level, like they're not making decisions for the organization. Like I'll worry about that when I talk to like the high level executives, but I'm going to focus on this department and getting this department to do something if they're big enough, or if there's budget to do things, or there's a fit. The other thing too is like we try and force something and it might not just be a fit. At the end of that meeting, if it's not a fit, hey, it looks like this isn't a fit. Like when, these things do come up for you and they are a priority, here's some information and let's get back in touch then. But like we try and force something just because we send a proposal or someone said, hey, send me some information, we think there's a fit. Like there's really three ways that we help businesses in each of the different verticals. For like a sales team, it could be getting new clients, keeping their clients happy, or taking care of their sales team. For an HR leader, it could be, helping reduce employee turnover, or helping like the engagement scores, or just keeping their people happy. For a customer attention, a marketing team, it's like getting brand awareness out there, cutting through the noise, and like differentiating from the competition. So if the way we help people isn't one of their top 2 to 3 priorities, we're probably not a fit for right now. Doesn't mean it won't be a fit a week from now, a month from now, a couple months from now. Like, you never know, but we want to understand like how businesses make decisions, and then how we tailor and craft our sales process to align with that. So what I'm going to talk through is like my ideal process is that first meeting is discovery. So I understand like what all the lay of the land, what's the opportunities, who else should typically be involved. And at the end of that meeting, hey, it looks like there might be something here. Instead of just pitching, I probably already know what I'm going to pitch them, but I want them to feel like this is customized towards them, because there's really only like 3 products we pitch. It's a group, it's a suite, it's a season ticket, and then based on like the budget that we think makes the most sense for them, or like what an average client's worth to them, we'll decide what location. But like, it's not like we have 100 different products that we're pitching. It's like 3 to 4. So I already know in my head, or based on like the role you're in, if you're in group sales, if you're in suite sales, like you're more incentivized to pitch that. So you're going to find a way to make that work anyways. But I want them to feel like, hey, I listened, I took this in. Unless they're like, hey, I need options right now, I'm not going to rush that. I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to put something together that we can walk through, kind of an initial outline, first draft of what I think might make sense based on what you talked about, the key objectives you listed. If I'm on the other end, I'm like, oh, this person's listening. They're not just going to, send me whatever pricing and options that I could go find online myself. Like, they're actually taking time to customize something for me. And I want to walk through and show them like the work I did. Like, hey, I heard these are the 3 objectives that are most important to you. Here's how we're going to help you with those objectives. Like, here's a plan that we can use to implement your tickets. We were just talking to a minor league team. They have 75 games, and we went through and built with ChatGPT like an implementation plan with like, hey, X amount of games are going to go for this use, X amount of games for this use. Weekday games are going to go for this type of client, where tier 1 is going to get the premium type games. And it like lays out a full implementation plan for them that you can hand to them, and then be like, all right, I know how I'm going to use my tickets, versus, hey, here's how you download your tickets for the app, and like, let me know if you need anything. So like a real implementation plan. We taught them how to build out an ROI case, because a lot of them never have talked to businesses before, so they don't know what an average client's worth. They don't know what a construction company's average close rate is, or what the profit of a client is to them. And so to have that conversation, if you want someone to spend 20, 30, $50,000 with you, but you can't articulate what's a reasonable expected return, like, you're never going to have success. You're just hoping that they do the math for you. And sometimes they will if they're excited, or like it was charged from the top, like, hey, we're getting tickets to this team, like, go figure it out. But a lot of times that's not the case, because we're reaching out to them. So they're not interested, so we got to get them interested and show them, hey, you spend money on Google ads, you spend money on Facebook ads, you spend money on billboards, here's a better return on your investment with tickets or a partnership with us. Like, those are the things we're trying to articulate. So for me to just pitch that at the end of like a 10, 15, maybe even 20-minute meeting, that's not professional on my part, and doesn't show them that I'm taking the time to really be a partner with them. So we have a discovery meeting. I take all that, I put together an initial outline. I don't just send it over. I set time on the calendar. So now you buy a second meeting and get more face time with them. Hey, you mentioned, the head of marketing typically gets involved in things. You mentioned your CRO wants to be involved in these type of things. Let's find time where we all can meet and we can walk through that outline together, and I can get their feedback. And then based on that, I'll tailor like a more formal proposal that we could walk through one final time before you get final sign off in the budget, to make sure that we're good to go. So now I bought a third meeting. I'm getting more face time. So it could be, if for a bigger deal, 3 meetings. It might be even more. You may need to have side meetings with people if it's a bigger deal. Priorities might have changed. That was a good question that came up this week in one of the trainings I was doing. It was like, hey, what if I built a plan, and then when I meet with them a week later, things have changed? I'm like, that happens a lot. Like, the CEO comes in and like, hey, we were focused on this, our competitors are doing this, so now we're shifting here. Like with AI, you see that happening all the time. Or investors want to change something, or people leave jobs. Like, the average tenure of a VP of sales or a CRO is like less than 2 years. So like, there's a very good likelihood that there's an executive who might be involved in your deal, like, leaves or goes take another job, or they get let go. So you always want to check and assess that too. But We're going to go through the initial evaluation and then that formal evaluation where based on that second, maybe even third meeting, I'm going to put something together like, hey, all right, so I've heard from everybody. I've gotten all the feedback. Like, here's the final proposal that I'm going to put together for you. And I want to walk them through that because the other challenge that we see and where people run into trouble is, they just send the proposal. And there's some finality to the proposal. So that's why we want to make sure that we say, hey, an initial outline and then a proposal. Initial outline invites dialogue. It invites collaboration. It allows them to, chime in and opine on like what they think makes the most sense. So we'll do that initial outline, get their feedback, build a final proposal, walk them through that, and then set a decision date or figure out like how do they make decisions from there. At that point, like it's kind of like, do they want to do it or not? Because I've built out throughout that whole proposal. And this is the other reason why you have meetings too, because objections come up. If you just pitch them one time, like there's probably objections, there's thoughts, there's questions they have. So this allows me, like we're going back and forth throughout all this. Like, oh, that's a concern for, sharing and marketing. Cool. Let me address that here in the proposal. Let me switch this out. Let me add this to the package that we didn't talk about before. So when everyone sees that final proposal, there's verbiage they use. There's concerns that they've called out in meetings. There's things that are most important to them. So then everyone can come together and see this and be like, oh, like this is customized towards me and this is going to make sense for us and achieve our business goals. There's really very few objections at the end of that if you do it right and you build a strong business case based proposal, because the two objections that you get the most are going to be too many games. Like even if it's a football season where there's 10 home games, like too many games, how am I going to use the tickets? Cool. You got that implementation plan that builds and aligns to those key objectives and priorities that are focused for them right now. Price. When I hear price, more times than not, probably like 90% of the time, they don't see the value. Everyone has the budget. They like the largest package that most people are pitching is like, $75,000, $100,000. Some get up in like the, $500,000, $1 million range if it's like a really big deal for like an NFL team or like a big partnership or something like that. But most companies, even a small to mid-sized business, is spending 5-6 figures in a given year on marketing assets. So they have the money, just they don't see the value in what you are. So that's where that ROI case comes in that you build into the proposal. So the key objections of too many games and I don't see the value or price, like we hit all that and we worked with them on it. Like we showed them the first time and flashed it to them and they gave us feedback. And then at the end, it's all addressed there. So you really shouldn't run into any issues unless just they decide they don't want to do it and it's just not a fit for them this year, which you've done everything you can, but like you set yourself up for success later, or maybe you move to another person within the organization or a referral, whatever it may be. But you've gone through a structured, strategic business sales process, which is going to give you more likelihood to win versus one meeting, you pitch whatever season ticket your boss told you to pitch and just hope that they, work across the organization and get this pushed through, which very rare that that's going to happen. So again, that's something that continues to come up. So I thought it'd be good to do an episode around that, and I could dive deeper into it in future episodes too. But yeah, focus on building a business case-based proposal versus a product proposal. A product proposal a lot of times is just going to be like, here's the seats, here's the price. Maybe they'll give two options and pictures from the seats. It's not enough to get a CEO or a CFO to be like, all right, I see how this is going to help us solve our business problems or achieve this objective in the third and fourth quarter. So really we want to focus on that and like building it for a business case versus just product seats. They can find that online, and that's not what they pay you all this money to do as a salesperson. They pay you to work with people, build a business case proposal, get business on board, look to grow and upsell and cross-sell them. Like that's where we come in, and AI can help us with that. Technology can help us with that. Just being more, having more business acumen can help us with that too. So excited to continue to have these conversations. I think that's probably the biggest gap. I think most people know they should be reaching out to businesses. They know how to set meetings and things like that. But it's like, once you get in the meeting, like if you just go pitching tickets, like you're just wasting your opportunity that you had there. So something that stood out this week. So I always kind of give my in training like personal story on like how I got involved with LinkedIn and using LinkedIn more and how it's helped build my business. And like I was nervous to get on first, but I think it encourages more people and they kind of can relate to that as well. But I see a lot more sports reps getting active on LinkedIn in a good way. There's a lot of people who've always posted like, oh, we got these seats and like, here's my phone number and email address, call me. I'm like, they know how to find you. Like, you don't need to do that. Like, it's so tough for us as salespeople because we want to have that call to action and get them to like buy. Like, they know how to find you. Let's just do organic content and use this as a networking tool. If you went to a networking event, you're not asking everybody to buy and passing out your business card like buy tickets, buy tickets. So treat LinkedIn the same way. But I see a lot more people doing thought leadership, sharing stories from, hey, I met with a recent client, here's something they told me, or, here's a group that came out and here's what goals that they were looking to achieve and how we helped them with that. Just planting seeds for that local business market in the market that you're in to see like, oh, I could do, at this basketball arena, I could do with this football team like this person just posted. So that's really cool to see. More people are getting active and using it in what I feel is like the right channels and right ways to do that. So continue to keep that up. And if you have questions, I could share like what I see working, what I've tried that didn't work for me. Just reach out. Shout out. So there's a rep. He's with the Milwaukee Bucks. His name is Braxton Hall. He reached out to me. I want to say like when he was in college or maybe like right out of college. And he was interviewing for sports sales jobs and got hired in inside sales, quickly got promoted. And now he's like one of the top account executives with him there. And like we were catching up a couple weeks ago and just shared like some of the wins he's having and just like his perspective and the way he thinks about it and just like maturity and success he's having at such a early start to his career. I knew that just from like the way he reached out to me and started building a network. Like you don't see a lot of people doing those extra things to not just get in, but like not get complacent and like stay hungry. And so, it was exciting to see that he got the job, he's done well, got promoted, and now he's crushing it as an account executive and continue to move up throughout his career. So wanted to shout him out. But in closing, again, more meetings actually speeds up your deal cycle. So don't try and be too transactional. Take the time to bring in the stakeholders you need to, even if it takes another week or a couple weeks. Like that's going to increase your close rate and close percentage and higher dollar amounts because you're getting out in front of objections right there. So if you like this, be sure to hit like. That's always great for the algorithm. Subscribe so you get other episodes as I release those and other videos and content I put out. Share this with someone in your network that you think this would be a good fit for. And like I tell my daughters every morning when I drop them off at school, go be awesome today. And I'll be back next week with another video.
That's nothing. I'm a big doing this and I'm gonna be head hunting. Oh baby, don't know. Oh baby, don't go. Oh baby, don't know. Oh baby, don't go.